Hello everybody and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network. I know what day it is, you know what day it is, unless you're not watching this on the day of upload, in which case, apologies for the next 13 seconds, but it's Sunday Fun Day! You know what? I was going to come into today with one of two videos. One was predicting the Eagles' Madden ratings, which could always be a bit of fun. But the second I did, it sort of flattened it instantly. I saw a tweet from Brian Baldinger of NFL Network stating the following: "Hi Eagles fly, I am hearing whispers about big news coming this week. The birds could get a lot better in mid-July. Hashtag Baldy's breakdowns." Now I'm hoping they won't get better because he's breaking them down. You know, I mean, that hashtag, if we're just being misled into a Baldy breakdown, hey, I'm all for them. But this at least hints that the team have something in place. That there is this big, magical surprise move. Is it going to be a trade? Is it going to be a signing? The wording of it said that they could get a lot better. At least implies it's something more than LaShawn McCoy. But what can it mean? Like, what players realistically are attainable at this point? So I decided to take a bit of a deep dive into some of the targets, some of the trades, some of the free agents that Brian could well be referencing here and give my take on how likely they could be. What I want to know though are your opinions down below with your own grades, as you'll find out throughout the video. Mine aren't on A to Z or 1 to 10. They're given different ratings. I want to hear yours down in the comments for all of the players mentioned in the video. If you're not already subscribed, it'd be amazing if you could hit that big red button, and let's see if we can get to 300 likes on this video. That would make our entire weekend. But first things first, it's time to put our CSI caps on. Why should we pay attention to Brian Baldinger? Like, why would he break this? Where has this come from? Why now? Maybe I'm just a bit paranoid. I don't know. But it's worth noting that Baldinger obviously has ties to the Eagles. He's a native of Pennsylvania, which is obviously quite important. He spent his final year in the NFL with the Eagles back in 1993, playing 4 games. And he did get into broadcasting. He started covering the Eagles preseason games and has been a regular on radio stations like 97.5 The Fanatic. So you can see how along that way over the last 20 or 30 years he would have been able to build some contacts. And there's one final area of this that I want to touch on a bit later because I think it could be directly related to the move and nobody has picked up on it yet, except, you know, yours truly. Alright, so let's start with the Blockbusters then. There are 3 names to note here. One of them is safety Jamal Adams. I mean, just to preface this, regardless of what the future contract looks like, regardless of what the Eagles give up, this might be the spiciest move of this era of football. Okay, I don't think I've ever been more flustered at the idea of a move. I mean, it's just a bit heated. Adams is still 24 years old and we know that he's going to want to be paid like the best safety in the NFL. Could Roseman trade away some assets to old pal Joe Douglas, bring Jamal Adams in, which cost them $7.1 million this year? Then there is a 5th-year option, which would cost them $9.9 million going into 2022. That's when the Eagles would have to realistically get that contract. I mean, unless they bring him and sign him to a new deal right away, in which case I don't know how he would have to structure it, but we know for a fact the Eagles are in a weird spot. They've got a lot of upfront guaranteed money. Next year, they're $50 million over the cap. So it's sort of like if you can coax him in and say, look, here's $20 million upfront year 1, take all of our cap space, then year 2 have pennies and next to nothing, and then we'll kind of rescind it year 3. That could work. I don't know the ins and outs of how that negotiation would happen, but it's the fact the Eagles would have to give up a lot of compensation and a lot of salary leverage, which they don't really have in the long term. I would love Jamal Adams as an Eagle, do not get me wrong. The guy would be the perfect replacement for Malcolm Jenkins at a position where there aren't many long-term options. You've got Kayvon Wallace, but the other players signed that offseason, including Rodney McLeod, Will Parks and Jalen Mills, all on a 1-year deal. So regardless of what happens this year, you're going to have the exact same problem next year as you did this offseason. So Jamal Adams would make a lot of sense in that regard. Is it the right call? Can they make it work? I'm not here to answer those questions, alright? I'm not Howie Roseman, that's why I don't get paid the big bucks. But if it happens, I would be all for it. Is it likely? I give it an LJ grade. I think it would be very good, but I'm not sure, so maybe a little bit. The next two are edge rushers, and these, in my opinion, are a little bit more likely, but look, the Eagles defensive end group just isn't that great this year, alright? I'll hold my hands up, I'll be deadly honest with you. You've got Brandon Graham, who isn't getting any younger. Derek Barnett had his 5th-year option picked up, but he's yet to really live up to first-round potential. Behind him, you've got Josh Sweat, took a great step forward, and Sharif Miller, who guaranteed more sacks than he played special team snaps last year. So, yes, they drafted Casey Toohill, but if you compare this group to 2018, where you had Michael Bennett, 2017, where you had Chris Long, the depth was unbelievable. You just don't have that now. Like, it's not there anymore. And Vinny Curry's still a free agent. That we'll get to later on. But the two edge rushers we're talking about are obviously Yannick Ngakoue and Jadeveon the Blavion Clowney. Difference between the two, Ngakoue, obviously the Eagles would have to trade to get his services and then give a monumental bag. Now, what doesn't help is that he and Clowney both seem very intent on being the highest paid edge rusher in the league. It's understandable. They both objectively deserve to be in that conversation. Signing Clowney is a lot more financially free for the Eagles because they don't have to give up that draft capital, and they could very easily sign a backloaded contract. The risk you take with Ngakoue is obviously having to give up significant capital just to bring him in, just to even get on the same page as Jadeveon Clowney. Think of it like Byron Jones and Darius Slay. I mean, for me, Byron Jones was the guy to get. It was the cornerback to go after, as opposed to trading for one and then signing to a deal. I still stand by that. I love the Slay deal, but if it was my offseason and I was GM, I'd have just licked the stamp and sent it on Byron Jones. Will Howie lick the stamp and send it on a premier edge rusher? I don't know. Again, I don't need to sit here and tell you how good either of these players really are. They're both outstanding. I think the argument you can make with Yannick is that he would have some chemistry and a bit of a layover with Malik Jackson, so that could be cool to watch. And the Eagles didn't really significantly invest in an edge rusher this offseason. So again, there are some free agents out there that are a little bit lower tier. We'll touch on those a bit later, but Jadeveon Clowney, Yannick Ngakoue, both the cream of the crop. We know the Eagles have had somewhat a passive interest, sort of like just watching from afar. You know, it's like you got a crush on a girl, you're watching her Instagram stories, occasionally send a reaction. Yeah, nothing dodgy. No shot shooting just yet, just a little reaction, just testing the waters. We're dipping our feet in, we're checking the temperature. A few months have passed, the entire NFL landscape has changed. Has Howie Roseman had a change of heart and decided to just go all in on acquiring one of the most premier talents in the league? Would that give him some long-term security at edge rusher? We know, again, Derek Barnett may not be around after 2022, and there's just no long-term solution there. So potentially one of those guys could be it. Will they take a flyer on Yannick the Panic? Probably not, because you have to trade, but I would be alright with it anyway, so that is good. What about Jadeveon Clowney? He hit Carson Wentz, and that is bad, but he is also a good player, and I might sign him for a bit of money, but not a lot, because they don't have a lot, please. That's my grade on that one. What about the shifty trade? We know, for instance, Raheem Mostert was announced earlier this week, stomping his feet, saying, no, I want to be traded, I want to be paid like a starting running back. Could Howie have picked up the wheeler dealer phone, sent a call over to San Francisco and tried to pry a former Philadelphia player away, someone who signed with the Eagles as an undrafted free agent and set preseason on fire long before the days of Paul Turner? The Eagles do need to find a replacement for Jordan Howard. The problem is they really don't want to invest in one. Carlos Hyde got on offer, didn't want any of it, obviously signed with the Seahawks. Devonta Freeman is still a free agent. The Eagles haven't really added anything to that running back room. You've got Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Corey Clement coming off an injury year, and then a group of undrafted free agents, which, look, I'm all for. Look at what's happened to Boston Scott. Look at what happened to Clement in 2017, but can you rely on someone like Michael Warren or Elijah Holyfield out of the gate? I don't bloody know, but I think it's probably more likely than them trading for a running back. But what about Joe Thuney from the Patriots, the right guard, the man who has not missed a game in like 4 years? He's currently playing under the franchise tag. I think Albert Breer was the man who first linked him to the Eagles. I understand it. I like the motive. I mean, where have the Eagles got salary room? Now, how much is a franchise tag? Around 12 million. Do you have to pay him next year? Nah, mate. Let him walk into free agency. That's the ultimate band-aid for the Eagles for Brandon Brooks, who obviously tore his Achilles earlier this offseason. Now, why am I bringing that bit up in particular? Why Joe Thuney in a move that really didn't gain much traction? Albert Breer was like, yeah, that might happen. And then the rest of the world went, alright, and got on with their day. The thing is that Brian Baldinger is currently out in an offensive line masterminds class. Obviously, there's some heavy health regulations there right now that they're being spaced out. There's regular COVID testing, there's masks. But who else is out there? Well, both Lane Johnson and Matt Pryor. Is it really that bold to assume that one of them might have accidentally let slip that someone's coming to Philadelphia? Is it that hard to imagine one of them in a casual chat with Brian over a beer, talking about the idea of Joe Thuney, discussing a free agent signing like Kelvin Beachum? Maybe it's the return of Jason Peters. Like, I could see that happening. Baldy's out there, Lane's out there, Pryor's out there. I would put my money on it being an offensive line move. Now, I don't know where from. I don't know if it will be Beachum. I don't know if it will be the return of Peters. But if the Eagles are going to get a lot better, you can't get much better than a Hall of Fame tackle that has held down that fort for so long. I'd assume if it is Peters, he does shift inside. Would I be alright with it? I'll be okay. I mean, it'd be alright. My official LJ grade is that'd be alright. I wouldn't do it myself personally, but it's not the worst move in the world, lol. I mean, there could also be a trade straight out of left field. We know how he's done this before. And if you look at the summer moves from years past, they had Jonathan Cyprien come in last year, which was a move that had a significant butterfly effect for the Eagles moving forward. Before that, Ronald Darby, Jordan Matthews trade. 2017, let's not forget the move that broke my heart for the first time. I don't want to get into it. Not only did I lose the one Philadelphia Eagle who followed me on Twitter, gave me my first ever professional interview, and was just an absolute all-round great guy, Ronald Darby. But anyway, things I do want to talk about are the cheap and the cheerful. The free agents that time has forgotten, and we're like, oh wait, that guy still doesn't have a team yet.com. We're talking Vinny Curry and Nigel Bradham, formerly of the Eagles. I feel like either of those guys could be relatively attainable. Now, I've personally spoken quite a lot on why I don't think they're going to add a linebacker this offseason, or even draft one at one point. That was proven wrong. They did add Davion Taylor in, and of course Sean Bradley added tempo in the 6th round, but outside of that, they lost Bradham, they lost Cameron Grugier-Hill, they've added a lot of raw talent without an offseason to develop it. It's going to be tough, and I do think they'll try and negate that loss with a lot of defensive backs, but on that same note, I think that they'd be wise to at least bring in someone familiar with the defense. Like Bradham, you can do a lot worse than Nigel Bradham. You can do better, but you can do worse. And as for Vinny Curry, the Eagles know him better than anyone. Obviously, they got him back from Tampa Bay after what he called a short hiatus following the Super Bowl. He got his big payday. Didn't play too bad, definitely heated up in those last 6 games of the season. He caught fire, was an integral part of the Eagles' late surge to break into the playoffs and clinch the NFC East. Would I want to go for either of those players? My official LJ grade is obviously, look, my whole brand is about missing my ex-girlfriend. Why would I not bring back a former player, lol? And then let's not forget LeSean McCoy. Oh, look, I know the LJ grade was, you know, the joke about missing my ex-girlfriend, but I don't miss that one. Alright, that's years, let it go. It was years ago now, let it go. We know that the link with LeSean McCoy and the Eagles is every single off-season. It was Deshaun Jackson, LeSean McCoy. That got halved at the expense of Jackson coming to the Eagles, and now it's LeSean McCoy could be retired. There would still be rumours about him coming back out of retirement, and he'd post a shush emoji on Instagram that he's actually just bought a new microphone or something. For me, I could see this being arguably the most likely because of the link between the two and the amount of hints that players have dropped at it. I wouldn't personally do it. I wouldn't be opposed to it that much, but we just sort of tolerate it and we'd hope for the best. But what do you think, guys? What is the Brian Baldinger lose? Maybe, just maybe, the Eagles have, I don't know, got some new dodgy air conditioning unit repaired. Maybe, just maybe, they have now got remote control tackling dummies for players to use. Maybe it's something random, like Doug Peterson has just completed a course in singing Spanish. Who knows? But I want you guys to let me know what you think down in the comments below. What is this big news that Brian Baldinger is hinting at? Is there any big news? Have I just wasted your time? Let me know. From myself, Liam Jenkins. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you soon.